Hi everyone, I'm Lisel Crowley. I'm here at the Cool Tools studio to show you how to make a delicate sculpted leaf ring using EZ960 clay and some wonderful new silicone ring mandrels. These are the tools we're going to use for today's project. We're going to want some thickness frames, some lubricant, we're going to use Cool Slip for that, a brush to brush the lubricant onto the textures, some tweezers, a coil roller, a scraper, a clay pick. We're going to use EZ960 sterling silver clay. This is a great clay for rings. It's got fantastic strength after firing, and it's a really flexible, wonderful clay to work with. I absolutely love it. We're going to work on the clay board. I really love this work surface for a variety of reasons. One is that it's got these non-slide feet, so these grip the table and the work surface isn't going to move around. It also gives you a level, even working surface wherever you are. Sometimes when I'm traveling to teach, the tables I work on aren't level, and this will give me a stable, level working surface wherever I am. So as you can see, I'm pushing on it and it's just not moving. It's wonderful. We're also going to use these silicone ring mandrels. These are fantastic for making rings. I just love them. And we have a stand for the ring mandrels, a rolling pin, and we want some textures that are going to give you a lovely leaf pattern. This one I use a lot. It's called Body Wave. This one is called Flower Doodle, and if you look closely, you can see some wonderful leaves in here. And this one is called Peony Wallpaper. And again, you can see some beautiful leaf designs in here. We're also going to need a brush and water. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is decide what size we're going to make our ring. And whenever you're making a ring with metal clay, you need to factor in the fact that it's going to shrink as it's fired. Typically for me with EZ960, I get a 2 ring size shrinkage on the type of delicate ring we're going to make today. For a wider band, I might go up 3 sizes, but for a delicate ring like we're making today, I go up 2 sizes. So if I want to make a size 7 ring, I'm going to use a size 9 ring mandrel. And these mandrels come in whole sizes and half sizes. You can work with them on the stand if you need both hands, but you can also work with them without the stand. And that's depending on the ring I'm making. Sometimes I'll use the stand and sometimes I won't. They come sold in half sizes and whole sizes, and they come in a kit with the stand, or you can buy them separately. You can also buy the stand separately, so you can mix and match. But you'll see how wonderful they are for making a ring. They're just fabulous. The other thing I love about them is that I can set the entire mandrel with the ring on it in my dehydrator for drying, and it just fits perfectly. So we're going to use EZ960 clay, and I always store my clay in one of these clay hydrators for long-term storage. But what's also great about these is when I'm working, I can set this upside down over the clay, and it will keep the clay moist as I'm working and give me easy access to the clay, just like this. Okay, so we're going to make a delicate ring using a very fine coil. So the first thing I'm going to do is roll my coil. I'm going to pinch off a piece of clay, and EZ960 is a wonderful flexible clay. It coils beautifully. And I'm going to make a coil that's long enough to wrap multiple times around the mandrel. So I'm taking a fairly large piece of clay. But one of the things I always recommend when I'm teaching people how to make coils is don't take more clay than you need. Too much clay makes it hard to get the coil to the length and the diameter that you want. So again, I want a long and thin coil for this because I'm going to go multiple times around the mandrel and I want it to look delicate. So see how quickly the EZ960 coils. Because I was a potter before I came to metal clay, I love working with coils. And I urge you all to get comfortable and familiar with rolling coils because you can use them in so many ways in your work. So that's about a good diameter and a good length. So I am going to now wet this. And notice I'm wetting on the top and the bottom. That allows the clay to move easily without gripping the work surface. I'm going to lay this on my mandrel, and you don't have to protect the mandrel. You can work directly on the mandrel. So I was wrapping this and the coil broke, which is not a problem. I can just overlap it a little because I'm trying for a look that looks like a vine going around the finger. So the fact that it's overlapping in spots is not an issue. And I can just see how I'm just holding it in my hand. I could also have it on the stand if I want. If I want to put a little curlicue in the vine, I can do that. I'm going to just curl it here. And I'm going to, and here's where I can put it on the mandrel. I just want to see how blunt the ends are. I just want to trim those. I don't want them so blunt. The fact that it's falling off is not an issue. I can fix that in just a second. Right now I'm just trimming off the blunt ends of the texture. And I can get this wet, right? And it's not going to be a problem. Once it's dry, it's going to come right off this mandrel. You don't have to worry about it sticking. These silicone mandrels are just a delight to work with. I should turn it so the camera can see it. And as long as I keep moistening the clay, I can play with the design. So I've decided to do this. And you can be very fluid and spontaneous when you're doing this kind of a ring. Just let the coil kind of tell you what it wants to be. So this is going to be the basic ring design. I'm going to set it aside to dry, and then I'm going to hand sculpt some leaves and attach them. So here we have the dried ring on the mandrel, and I just want to show you how easy it is to get it off. I didn't have to protect it with anything. I didn't even have to put lubricant on it. So I can lightly sand it while it's on the mandrel, and I can also lightly sand it off the mandrel. I actually have already sanded this. It really does not need a lot of sanding. And this could actually be a ring in and of itself. But what we're going to do is add some leaves to it. So I'm going to put it back on the mandrel and set the mandrel on the stand. And I'm going to use these textures now to create leaves. And I'm going to cut them out and then hand sculpt them around the ring. I think for this one, I'm going to use the body wave. I'm going to lubricate it. And I love using this brush to brush the lube into the texture. It gets it into all the nooks and crannies and spreads it evenly. And I have one of these brushes designated for lubricant and one for sanding in my studio. So when I lubricate my rolling pin or my work surface, I always start by spraying the cool slip on my hand first. And then I'll rub a little on my work surface and a little bit on my rolling pin. And this assures me of not having too much lube. If you have too much lube, you can compromise your clay body. So I'm going to roll my clay out 4 cards thick. And see how beautifully it releases. And now I'm going to put it on my lubricated texture and roll it out, roll it down to 2 cards. And now I'm going to come in with my clay pick and just cut out some leaf elements from here. I love this texture. And because the EZ960 is so flexible, I can just audition what I want to do without adhering anything. I don't have to moisten the clay at this stage. And if I make a mistake, which I've been known to do, I can just cut it down differently. I can also sort of pinch the leaf to give it a little more shape. Now, if it's starting to fall off, I will have to moisten it just so it'll stick. But I'll moisten it lightly so that I can still move it if I want to. But this is just to get it to adhere so I can create my design. I'm not necessarily trying to bond it completely. And I can also give the leaves a bit of dimension. I can kind of pinch them in my hands and sort of sculpt them a little bit. I use the texture to get the actual texture of the leaf and the shape of the leaf, but then I can play with that with my by pinching and shaping. And I'll actually take it off the mandrel to get a closer look at it. Off the stand, I should say. And I actually think that I'm going to stop at 2 because I have this curly Q. If I didn't have the curly Q, I might do more leaves. And what I might do also is add some little balls to look like berries or whatever. So now I am going to bond this. And to do that, I want to use a lot more water. So I'm going to really wet this and pick this up. And bond it to the ring. I think I actually even put it on differently than I had it before, but I like the way that's looking. And now I can just add some little balls. And when I make little balls, I always make them in the moment. Some people will have a bunch of balls already made and dried to use in designs like this, but I like to sort of make them to order. To me, it's a little meditative. I enjoy the process. You could do it however you want. You could also maybe stick a CZ in there somewhere if you wanted. But I'm just going to do 3 little balls. And when I make my balls, I also like to make them in graduated sizes. I don't like to make them all the same size. And you see, I just make them in my fingers. And I'm going to moisten where I want them to go. And then just start placing them. Sometimes I'll actually pick it up with the brush, with a damp brush. And there we have the finished design. This will be dried again. I'll do a final sanding and then we'll fire it. Here we have the finished ring. It's been fired, brushed, tumbled, patinaed, and brought to a satin finish. I really like a satin finish on textured items because I think it shows the textures really well, but you can finish the ring however you would like. It's really delicate. It looks great on the finger. And here's just another example of one I've made. These rings work out very quickly and easily, and every one is going to be unique and different because you're going to hand sculpt the leaves in whatever way you want. You could also think about adding flowers and other embellishments to make the ring entirely your own. I hope you have fun. Enjoy.
Visit our Learning Center at cooltools.us for more cool jewelry making videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to sign up for our email list to be the first to hear about new videos, new products, and other cool stuff from Cool Tools.